In the heart of Europe lies a nation that has achieved what most historians consider impossible. 7 centuries of uninterrupted independence, while surrounded by the continent's greatest powers. Switzerland stands today as one of the world's most prosperous democracies, yet its path to this achievement defies conventional wisdom about how nations survive and thrive. Consider the paradox: a country smaller than West Virginia that has never been conquered, never been colonized, and has maintained neutrality through conflicts that reshaped the entire European continent. A confederation where 4 languages coexist, where ancient democratic traditions predate most modern constitutions, and where citizens wield more direct political power than anywhere else on Earth. The Swiss Confederation's survival story begins not with natural advantages or geographical isolation, but with a revolutionary political experiment that emerged from medieval European feudalism. What started as a desperate alliance between 3 small mountain communities in 1291 would evolve into a sophisticated federal democracy that has weathered the rise and fall of empires, religious wars, revolutionary upheavals, and 2 world wars. This is not merely the story of Switzerland's past, but an examination of how political institutions, carefully crafted and constantly refined, can create stability and prosperity even in the most challenging circumstances. From the legendary oath sworn beside Lake Lucerne to the modern federal state that hosts international diplomacy while maintaining fierce independence, Switzerland's history reveals the principles that have allowed this small nation to not just survive, but to become a model for democratic governance itself. The land that would become Switzerland was inhabited by various Celtic tribes, most notably the Helvetii, who were far from passive mountain dwellers. These sophisticated warriors controlled crucial alpine trade routes and commanded respect throughout the region. When Julius Caesar encountered them in 58 BCE during his Gallic campaigns, he found a people so formidable that their defeat became one of his most celebrated military victories, immortalized in his own writings. Roman conquest brought the region under imperial rule, fundamentally transforming the landscape with an extensive network of roads, fortified cities, and military installations. The Romans recognized the strategic value of controlling the Alpine passes. Whoever commanded these mountain corridors controlled the vital trade arteries connecting northern and southern Europe. They established major settlements like Augusta Raurica and Aventicum, whose impressive ruins still testify to Roman architectural and engineering prowess. However, Rome's grip on these mountain territories proved tenuous as the empire entered its decline. During the 4th and 5th centuries, successive waves of Germanic tribes swept through the passes, bringing with them distinct languages, customs, and political structures that would fundamentally reshape the region's character. The Alemanni established themselves in the eastern territories, while the Burgundians claimed the western lands. This early division created the linguistic and cultural diversity that remains one of Switzerland's defining characteristics today. The medieval period witnessed the emergence of feudalism across the Alpine regions, as powerful noble families constructed imposing castles on strategic heights, controlling trade routes and extracting tolls from merchants traveling between the great European commercial centers. Among these noble houses, the Habsburgs would prove most significant, destined to become one of Europe's most influential dynasties. Their ancestral castle, built in what is now Aargau Canton, still stands as a monument to their Swiss origins. Yet it was precisely this system of feudal oppression and foreign domination that would ultimately spark the most transformative moment in Swiss history, catalyzing the transformation of a collection of isolated mountain valleys into the foundation of an enduring nation. The year 1291 represents not merely Switzerland's legendary founding, but something unprecedented in medieval European politics: the voluntary association of free communities choosing cooperation over subjugation. The cantons of Uri, Schwyz, and Unterwalden formed their revolutionary alliance against foreign Habsburg rule, creating what historians recognize as one of the first examples of consensual government in medieval Europe. The Federal Charter of 1291, inscribed in Latin on parchment, that survives to this day, established principles that would guide Swiss politics for centuries: mutual defense against external threats, peaceful resolution of internal disputes, and unwavering resistance to foreign domination. These weren't conquest-minded communities seeking to expand territory or impose their authority on others. They simply demanded the right to govern themselves according to their own customs and traditions. The Habsburg response proved swift and decisive. These Austrian nobles had no intention of permitting their profitable Swiss territories to slip from their grasp, recognizing that the loss of Alpine control would severely compromise their broader European ambitions. What followed was a series of conflicts that would forge Switzerland's military reputation and create legends that continue to inspire Swiss national identity. The Battle of Morgarten in 1315 became the defining moment of early Swiss military prowess. When a substantial Habsburg army, complete with heavily armored knights and professional soldiers, marched through the narrow mountain pass to crush what they viewed as a peasant rebellion, they encountered an enemy that had transformed the very geography into a weapon of war. Swiss fighters, armed with halberds, crossbows, and intimate knowledge of their mountainous terrain, employed revolutionary tactics that neutralized traditional medieval warfare advantages. The heavily armored cavalry, so dominant on the open battlefields of Europe, found themselves helpless against an enemy that struck from concealed positions above, then melted back into the forest before counterattacks could be organized. This victory had profound consequences extending far beyond the immediate battlefield. It demonstrated that common people, fighting for their freedom and homeland, could defeat the most powerful military forces of their age. Word of this remarkable triumph spread rapidly across Europe, establishing the principle that the Swiss were never to be underestimated in military confrontations. Military success bred political expansion, and the original 3 forest cantons soon found themselves at the center of a growing alliance that would reshape the political landscape of Central Europe. Lucerne joined the Confederation in 1332, bringing valuable urban commercial networks and financial resources. Zurich followed in 1351, contributing sophisticated merchant expertise and manufacturing capabilities, while Glarus and Zug added their own unique strengths to the growing union. Each new member brought distinctive characteristics that enriched the Confederation's diversity. Urban merchants from Zurich introduced commercial innovation and financial sophistication. Skilled craftsmen from Bern contributed manufacturing expertise and artistic traditions, while the original mountain warriors from the forest cantons provided the military backbone that protected the entire alliance. The Battle of Sempach in 1386 further cemented Switzerland's reputation as a formidable military power when Swiss forces again successfully repelled Austrian attempts to crush their growing independence. This victory demonstrated that the Swiss had evolved far beyond simple mountain guerrillas into a sophisticated military organization based on citizen soldiers rather than feudal conscripts. However, it was the Battle of Nancy in 1477 that truly announced Switzerland's emergence as a major European power. Here, disciplined Swiss pikemen confronted the Burgundian army of Charles the Bold, widely regarded as one of the most feared and professional military forces of the late medieval period. The Swiss victory proved so complete and devastating that it ended Burgundian power forever, simultaneously establishing Swiss mercenaries as the most sought-after professional soldiers throughout Europe. This military prowess became both a blessing and a curse for the developing confederation. Swiss soldiers earned legendary reputations for their discipline, courage, and absolute loyalty to whoever employed them. Kings and popes competed fiercely to secure Swiss mercenary services, creating the paradoxical situation where Swiss soldiers sometimes found themselves facing their own countrymen on opposing sides of European battlefields, bound by professional honor to serve their respective employers, regardless of national kinship. The 16th century brought internal challenges that threatened Swiss unity more than any foreign invasion. The Protestant Reformation, led by Huldrych Zwingli in Zurich and later John Calvin in Geneva, sparked deep religious and political divisions. Zwingli's preaching called for social justice, criticized the mercenary system, and promoted community welfare, gaining strong support among urban populations. Meanwhile, Calvin transformed Geneva into a theocratic city-state that served as a model for Protestant governance across Europe and even the New World. However, the rise of Protestantism alarmed Catholic cantons like Lucerne, which saw the reforms as a threat to tradition and authority. These tensions erupted into the Wars of Kappel, where for the first time, Swiss fought each other. Zwingli was killed in battle in 1531, and the Confederation teetered on the brink of collapse. Rather than split, Switzerland pioneered a federal system that allowed cantons to keep their religious identities while remaining politically united. This innovation laid the foundation for Swiss religious tolerance and became a model for peaceful coexistence in Europe. The 30 Years' War, 1618–1648, was a turning point that solidified Switzerland's commitment to neutrality. While surrounding powers like France, Spain, and Sweden devastated each other in religious and dynastic warfare, Switzerland made a deliberate choice to withdraw from European power politics. This decision, rooted in political wisdom rather than fear, aimed to preserve internal stability and protect the Confederation's autonomy. Swiss leaders recognized their strength lay not in military conquest, but in offering refuge, maintaining international trade, and becoming a reliable hub for financial services. The 1648 Peace of Westphalia formally acknowledged Switzerland's independence from the Holy Roman Empire and established its legal neutrality. However, this neutrality faced a severe challenge in 1798, when revolutionary France invaded and imposed the centralized Helvetic Republic. This marked a disastrous break from Swiss traditions, as local autonomy was stripped, conscription enforced, and institutions dismantled. For the first time, Switzerland lost its freedom and self-governance, becoming a satellite of Napoleon's ambitions. The experience reinforced the value of neutrality and federalism in Swiss identity. Napoleon's defeat at Waterloo in 1815 gave Switzerland a chance to rebuild after the collapse of the Helvetic Republic. The Congress of Vienna was pivotal, as major European powers, Britain, Austria, Prussia, and Russia, recognized Swiss independence and guaranteed its permanent neutrality. A neutral Switzerland served all their interests, acting as a buffer zone and preventing control of the Alpine passes by any one power. Internally, however, tensions grew between conservative cantons favoring traditional autonomy and liberal cantons seeking centralization, modern governance, and national infrastructure. These ideological divides deepened throughout the early 19th century as conservative cantons resisted the reforms inspired by the Napoleonic period. In 1847, these tensions erupted into the Sonderbund War when 7 Catholic cantons formed a separate alliance and threatened secession. The liberal-led federal government responded with military force, initiating Switzerland's only civil war. Lasting just 25 days, the conflict ended in a federal victory. Rather than punishing the defeated cantons, liberal leaders chose reconciliation. They integrated all regions into a stronger, more inclusive federal system. This outcome transformed Switzerland from a loose confederation into a unified nation, securing both its political stability and the principles of shared governance that continue today. The Constitution of 1848 created modern Switzerland, drawing from American federalism to balance central authority with cantonal autonomy. The Federal Assembly's 2 chambers represented both population and cantons, while the 7-member Federal Council provided stable governance. Most revolutionary was Switzerland's embrace of direct democracy through referendums and initiatives, making it the world's most democratic nation. The Constitution enshrined religious freedom, movement within the Confederation, and abolished internal trade barriers. The late 19th century saw rapid industrialization. Swiss textile manufacturers became world leaders, clockmakers evolved into precision instrument makers, and engineers built railways through impossible mountain terrain. Banking emerged naturally from Switzerland's political stability, with Swiss banks offering unparalleled security. Investment in education through universities and technical schools produced the skilled workforce that transformed Switzerland into a knowledge-based economy. World War I caught Switzerland unprepared, surrounded by belligerent powers, with the war dividing Switzerland along linguistic lines. General Ulrich Wille's mobilization helped maintain neutrality, but at enormous economic and social cost. World War II presented even greater challenges, with Hitler's Germany surrounding Switzerland on three sides. General Henri Guisan's National Redoubt strategy planned withdrawal to the Alpine heartland if invaded, making conquest prohibitively costly even for Nazi Germany. The strategy succeeded, but required moral compromises. Switzerland traded with Nazi Germany and turned away Jewish refugees, actions that saved Swiss independence but created moral debts that haunted the country for decades. Post-war Switzerland emerged as a global power despite its size. Swiss neutrality made the country ideal for international organizations, with Geneva hosting UN agencies and diplomatic initiatives. Swiss banks became preferred repositories for global wealth, while corporations like Nestlé and Roche became industry leaders. New challenges emerged during the Cold War and European integration. Switzerland's response was characteristically deliberate and democratic, requiring constitutional amendments approved by parliament and voters for major policy changes. The 2002 decision to join the United Nations exemplified this approach. After decades of debate and failed referendums, Swiss voters narrowly approved UN membership while maintaining Switzerland's distinctive approach to international affairs. Modern Switzerland is a remarkable example of unity amid diversity, sustaining a confederation across linguistic, religious, and cultural lines for over 700 years. It blends direct democracy with federalism, capitalism with social responsibility, and neutrality with global engagement. Swiss citizens actively shape policy through frequent referendums, while the economy thrives by balancing traditional industries like watchmaking with cutting-edge innovation. Despite globalization and immigration, Switzerland has preserved its core identity and social cohesion. It engages economically with Europe while maintaining political independence, and adapts to international norms without compromising national values. Switzerland's history, from the Rütli Oath to the modern federal state, reflects enduring principles of liberty, equality, and fraternity. In a world where democracy often struggles, Switzerland stands as a beacon of what determined citizens can achieve through strong institutions and shared values. Its example proves that even small nations can lead with justice, wisdom, and enduring hope for self-governance. Thanks for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to visit for more interesting and engaging videos.